Cody played us.
I'm a very strong personality.
If this was old Jesse, growing up as a teenager, like in LA, tattoo on my face, I'd probably go for the jugular.
Kick him in the shins, man. Really hit him hard.
That was funny, huh?
Yes, hello and good evening on this Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. Survivor 43, Episode 4, Show No Mercy has aired. We're here to break it all down here on Superman Brothers Podcasting, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. You might be listening to this, the audio version. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Jaemeel Robinson and Jeff Mader from the couch. Coming to us. Can you hear us, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Jeff, we were a little bit delayed getting started here because it was just a bit of a technical setup. It went about as slow as you can with still be moving.
White is moving about as slow as you can move and still actually be moving.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
But everybody's the thank you, Jeffrey, at the end.
Yeah, you'll have to clip that.
Thank you, Jeffrey, from Dwight. Yes, Jeff, welcome back. You were gone in the islands. You were surviving. Just on a beach somewhere, I think. You were, with a machete and some fishing gear.
No, we didn't have any of that. We had, we had internet. We had things.
Yes, you had civilization. Okay.
Did you have any crackle?
No.
No crackle? Love that crackle.
Did have some tasty shrimp though.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Well, welcome back. We are here in this fourth episode of Survivor 43. Jeff, we haven't really talked. Have we even talked about this season, or we talked about you and I were on the premiere, right? And then it's been Jaemeel and I for the last 2 weeks.
We got the full crew together.
Now we're all here together. Jaemeel and you and Jaemeel haven't spoken about this season yet.
Oh no, I'm sure we have very similar opinions on these castmates.
I think so.
Yeah, it's pretty self-evident.
Are you guys? Do you have a similar opinion about this member of our draft who lost his second person in the draft in 2 weeks? I lost NECA last week, and this week here I lose Ellie. No, not Ellie. Sorry, Lindsay.
Lindsay, I said it from the beginning. I think I said it on the cast assessment. I'm like, this lady is not long for this game. And Amanda was like, oh, I like her. I think she's going to do really good. I'm like, nope, she will not be able to handle this game. And I was 100% right.
But she's like a huge fan of the show, like a Survivor super fan.
Doesn't matter. None of that matters.
Dude, like, Dave, we've been like fans of Survivor and these reality games for a long time. And the unfortunate part about it is when we use our heads and think about like the game as it's playing, everyone thinks about the big moves and the blind sides, and like it mucks up your thought process when you're playing, and you see it time and time again with these super fans where they're like, well, I consider myself a big threat, and that line of thinking just keeps going on and on. She was not a big threat at all, right? And it just totally messed up, and people don't want to have to babysit people. They don't, right? So that's why it's a simple equation, and that's why she's gone.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it was tough to watch. I was like, oh, I'm cheering for her. But even in the earlier encounter in the episode where Cody goes to the Coco camp and goes to steal the things, and she's very confrontational in that scene. I was like, I'm not getting a good vibe here off Lindsay. Not as much as I would like to.
She thinks she's in charge. She thinks very highly of herself. It was very evident the way she was talking about herself in the DR, confessionals. I was like, she's gone. Jameel's right. People don't want to have to worry about babysitting people. You saw it with Gabler tonight too. It's like, I don't want to have to worry about this guy. Like, why is he putting a palm frond on me? Like, get out of here. What are you doing? Like, stop worrying about dumb things.
If that's the stuff that he's doing in the middle of the night to help me, what is he going to be doing in the middle of the night not to help me? You don't want to have that line of thinking. You don't want to have that type of person where you're going to like, I have to worry about this person all the time. If the dude, like we saw previously, the dude was messed up on the island. right? And was sleeping during the day. Is he going to start, doing stuff at night and can't perform in the day? What is his sleeping pattern?
Yeah, it's just like it's completely a bad vibe to give off, and I think that's why she gets voted out here so swiftly. When she becomes this paranoid person, they're just like, well, like we can't really work with this. Like if this is the first vote.
Well, like when you find out that the target's not you, and you should have been able to suss that out. If you've ever watched a show, and somebody comes to you. Like multiple people are like, let's get Geo, and all you have to do is kind of read the way they say the name or the way they kind of explain the plan, okay? And if you can't read that, you suck at Survivor, and you should get voted out. Like pretty much. Unless you're a goat and then you get dragged, which that could have happened to Lindsay, too. But James and Carla
Aaron,
didn't want to do. Yeah. What's his name? Is his name James?
No, it's James and Karen.
Carla.
Or it's Carla.
Yeah.
Carla.
And Carla completely had control of that vote. They don't need. They can get Gio or they can get Ryan later on. Oh, by the way, Ryan, one of the most boring contestants I've ever seen. And what's wrong with his arm? Like, can you not throw? Like, how can you not throw a sandbag? He went through the hole. Like
he was not like Cody, who was
Blistering this course right now. Like an
You don't got
MLB
that dog in it.
pitcher.
There we go.
he was an MLB pitcher. He referred to Cody. And Sammy was doing pretty well too.
Ryan was like an elementary school pitcher.
He was better. Ryan was really strong. We saw later on in the challenge, he was able to like lift those pieces up like nobody else in the challenge. So he had other strengths, but that wasn't his.
He's a warehouse associate, right? Like,
yeah. But if it came to
very,
lifting things,
he's very strong. He's got a great physique. He should be able to throw a bag. Yeah.
Some people, have different strengths. So and I think Cody and Sammy were capable competitors in this challenge as well. I think that they're both pretty athletic.
I think the problem is not the matter of strength, but technique. Ryan had no technique, and the other two, they obviously have thrown before. Football or baseball.
Played baseball or something, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So just to kind of maybe go back to the beginning of the episode. So there was stuff about the aftermath of the NECA vote, but really there wasn't too much to that. There was kind of like Cody kind of talking about, his feelings on it. But I thought the more interesting stuff was really more in the when we got to Baca and the Yellow Tribe, and we saw Sammy explaining Gabler.
This is Gabler.
This is Gabler. Which is the premise. And I'm liking Sammy as a narrator on the show. He's an interesting character. Jeff, you're drafty, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah. I drafted him because he was like Zach Brandt's 2.0 in my mind, but he's a lot more calm than Zach Brandt ever was.
Well, he's like nobody has any idea this guy is 19.
My tribe thinks I'm 22 years old, living young, wild, and free. My tribe has no idea that I'm 19 years old.
This is the greatest ever pulled.
If only they knew he couldn't have a beer.
In the States, but in Canada he could.
Right.
They have no idea. But
little do they know that a 19-year-old is about to outclass the 24-year-old and a 31-year-old psychologist.
Who cares?
He can outclass a 24-year-old, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can understand it if you're like in your 50s, like if it was reversed. You're out there with a bunch of young people, then I get it. But if you're 19 and you're out there with a bunch of 20-year-olds, like, so what?
I know.
You know what I mean?
Great job.
Yeah. I like him explaining the tension with Gabler.
This is Mike Gabler personified out here on Survivor. I love the guy, and at this point, we're working together, collaborating, but sometimes he's not aware.
He is not aware.
I mean, and that is sad for the youngest person in the show telling the oldest person, "You're not aware."
Yeah, exactly.
If anything, the oldest guy should be aware.
But is Ellie aware?
Well, I think Ellie is just rubs Gabler the wrong way. Like that's what it was explained. Yeah, I know. She's got the crazy eyes. But the thing is with her, like, who's she? Yeah, who's the small girl that's kind of her
Janine.
right hand? Janine. Yeah, so those two are like thick as thieves, and then like they told Gabler about them going through his bag and all that stuff, and now Gabler, like, you're dead to him now, you know. So because that's how a lot of, like, I find older people that get on this show play. It's like
That's how they live their
black and
life, maybe.
it's black and white. It's loyalty. It's you cross me, you're done. Or any type of idea like that. Like, you went through my bag, I can never trust you. Those type of ideas. Whereas the younger people are a lot more, go with the flow.
Yeah. Gabler should be smart about this situation. He knows that they know about his situation. So why doesn't he, like, pull them aside and go, hey, I trust you too. So I just want to let you in on my advantage and show them it. Right? What does that do? Right? That he already knows that they know about it. Right? He wants them to believe that he's on their side. Right?
Right.
He wants them to lower the guard. What does being angry about them do? Right?
Nothing.
And
hurts
it does nothing. Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, he needs to. When he's not aware, this is the part that's of not being aware that we're really talking about.
With the making of the fire and that whole situation, where
that was just like a pissing match, between Gabler and Ellie.
You do it. It's
Like, that was just.
I am literally doing it.
I am literally doing it. Big sticks, little sticks, different configurations of sticks.
He's a surgeon. He's a type A personality, and he's not used to deferring. And you see it there. You have to be self-aware about what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah,
and he's not.
We saw it with Gio tonight too, where he was like trying to tell Cassidy exactly how to cut the coconut. Don't do that.
That can be a bonding moment, but of course it ends up being a lecture. She resents you for it.
Yeah.
I was just okay, so we get to the challenge here. And just I want to just talk again about how impressive Cody is in this scene here. Where
I think he played some ball when he was younger.
Look at this, like,
you
boom.
can tell, like, the way he's whipping it.
Yeah, it's better. But and Sammy almost like not as good, but nearly.
Yeah, he was a little bit more overhand.
Yeah,
like Cody was doing like the sidearm.
Yeah, and you're right that Ryan's not so good here. Ryan was doing a great job of throwing it through the the little small holes that were in.
He did
between.
Twice.
He did that twice.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god.
So, but he'd be really good at mini putt.
He was doing a great job too,
getting like the ball to go through the windmill, stuff like that. Like that's more his skill set. Both of these competitions today, guys, like I thought were good, although like most of them, they're just all kind of the same now. Go through this thing, build this thing.
The second one was better. The first one was boring. Like, it was just, they just whipped some things down. I didn't like the one person goes and has to, like, I think all four people should have had to do the blocks, but they probably didn't want to do that because they knew they had two challenges and they didn't want to waste a bunch of time.
And what's the name going to do with her leg?
Yeah. Like, I thought that part of the challenge was stupid, and then like the platforms they had to land the beanbags on, one was big, one was medium, one was small, and then like they swung. I don't know. It was okay, but it seemed like they didn't spend a lot of money on that one. You know what I mean?
Chains hanging from a pole, so it couldn't have been too bad. With a little thing that you got to get a beanbag on. No, I don't think they broke the budget on it. But yeah, it was okay. Let's talk more about like the twist of this getting to raid the camp, which I liked in principle, but I didn't like that the fact that the tribe was there to talk with the raider. I thought that the raiders should have just got to go and steal whatever they want.
No, I love that.
So you like the way that there was this confrontation. Jaemeel
we want them to to feel a certain way. We want to see them face to face as they take it. That's the drama.
And he was the right guy to go for the red team, Cody, because he's a salesman. He even said it, like he knew exactly how to get leverage in the situation. And they were smart to target the 6-person tribe. And like what happens later on, they were also smart to do that, because if the yellow tribe had lost, then 2 tribes would have been at 4, 1 tribe would have been at 6. And so that's not good for the red tribe.
Right, or anybody else. And even the red tribe and yellow tribe later go on to work together in this challenge to go after Coco. And Coco will go on to lose the challenge and then vote out Lindsay. But Cody's like, kick him in the shins.
Hold on, they didn't work together. Red tribe helped the yellow tribe.
Right.
There was no working together.
Well, they accepted the help.
Also,
you're gonna say no?
We're not there
Let's
yet.
finish the challenge ourselves.
Right.
I know what Gio goes. It wasn't earned, and I was like, said the guy that sat on the bench. Yeah,
but Cody's kind of ruthless.
Kick him in the shins, man. Really hit him hard.
Him hard.
There's no mercy on my island.
No mercy. He's going for it. I thought he was really funny in this stuff and pretty charming overall with it. And he was like, and by the end they're like, we kind of gave him everything. The machete was not what he wanted. He's like, if we say we want something really ruthless, like their pot, then they're gonna
I think Cody played us.
That's such a great moment.
Yeah. Cody's like one of my favorite new players. I hope he lasts in the season. I feel like he's going into the merge.
So is Carla. Carla smart enough to recognize what happened.
Yes, Carla was the only one on that tribe who really understood. But why wasn't she more front and center in
Because when you're surrounded by idiots, you standing out, everyone's like, that's dumb. And you're talking sense. She knew exactly what was happening.
Yeah. Guys, the immunity challenge itself, where they had to make this like square thing, and then I liked this in principle because it was, and I'm trying to figure out how Blue didn't have this solved earlier, because it looks like they pretty much did have it solved at one point, but it didn't work.
Are you saying the puzzles are a lot harder than people make it out to be?
I mean, the puzzles are easier than they make them out to be.
I thought these puzzles were actually pretty difficult. It's easy because each side has 4 sides, or at least one side is 3. But you can turn them all sorts of different ways. And I actually thought it looks easy to us on TV, but those are difficult puzzles.
The problem with these ones, it's just heavy, and every time you move it, they feel that weight and have to reposition it. Mm-hmm. That's the difficult part, not the
But it's an even playing field. They're all dealing with that same challenge of it, right?
And but it's not an easy peasy puzzle.
No, but I did like the whole thing about like how you could like kick it down really quickly so that the other team couldn't see what you were doing. So that was like I think clever, and then having to move that along. So
I think
in a way,
could put up a wall, Dave. Like when they do those challenges, there should be some sort of a curtain or wall during that part.
Well, I guess, and then you wouldn't have people helping, right? I guess, I know it was specifically Red who solved this puzzle first, and then went on to aid the other Ibaka tribe who was right next to them.
Maybe they couldn't be so close together. Like they're really close to each other.
Yep, pretty much. Like they'd have to make the set even bigger. It would cause more.
They could just make it into like a kind of a triangle with like a split in the middle, so that Jeff can see all 3 sides, but they can't see each other. Like they have like a barrier.
Yeah. That's
I don't know.
Do we think that the problem of the cheating on the puzzles is a big enough thing that we want to solve?
It's not cheating though.
It's not cheating, but the thing is, I don't necessarily love that they didn't earn it, or whatever. But but the thing is, they probably would have beat them anyway. So really,
I love these colors too, with the red and the yellow trib and the yellow with the green. It's great. Great production value. I love those colors. And the blue and the purple.
They're blue and what? What's blue and dark blue?
Blue with purple.
Oh, blue and purple.
Kind of like Colorado Avalanche style.
That's exactly what they were going for.
They might have. I don't know. Or they were. Eventually, they had to make this like triangle thing, which was the eventual. It was neat how it could be a square on one part, and then it could be made into a triangle somewhere else.
Just imagine that could have been with a couple prongs, that could have been a Klingon emblem.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, so there was a lot of bitterness, and here at the end, is it Cassidy who says that this was dirty on the part of yellow and red tribes, guys? Do you guys, Jeff? Do you agree? Was Cassidy right to feel scorned here?
No, I think it's fair game, and that's not what she said. She said that like there's no rules in Survivor, and I don't think she was that scorned.
I thought she said something like that was not classy.
Whatever. You know what? Survivor's not a classy game.
Yeah, call me unclassy as I win. Okay.
Well, maybe Cassidy's looking to put a little class back in Survivor, guys. I'm just being devil's advocate here. Cassidy's advocate.
Yeah, that's you're playing the wrong game. The reason it was a strategic decision. It wasn't about it wasn't personal. It was all completely about a numbers thing. It's the same reason why Cody went to steal the blue tribe stuff, rather than, even though the yellow tribe had more stuff, the blue tribe's the real enemy right now, because at the merge, they're going to have the most power.
Right. But wait, okay. So in contrast, because earlier, just to rewind to when the red was kind of strategizing about what they wanted to steal from blue, or even when they were deciding which tribe they were going to go after at all. And going after Coco, I thought made sense because they had more people and they had, it made more sense. But Jesse and who was the other person over there on that tribe that was a little bit more conservative, like saying, well, eventually we're gonna have to work with these people, and maybe we don't want to have a grudge with other people that we're going to be sort of work. I don't know. I was kind of thinking about that while I was watching it. Is that something you should be concerned with, or should be like, no, stealing on behalf of my tribe, or potentially rubbing the other tribe the wrong way is not something I need to worry about, sort of in the long-term game of.
If you feel like them actually going through with something that they've won and doing it as per the rules of the game is rubbing you the wrong way, then I don't think you're meant for this game. You're that paper soft that you'd be that angry. No,
if you're gonna be mad at anybody, it's production. You know what I mean? As far as how easy it was for them to do that, But to get mad at the contestants, I think is stupid.
Right. And then okay, so I don't know what the challenge. It's I guess everything in terms of how this all broke down, how it was Geo that was seemingly the target, and how this all kind of just became Lindsay's undoing as she sort of unraveled, even giving in her own confessionals, and was kind of I don't even know why I'm this paranoid. I think just being sort of they've been out there for 9 days living on coconut.
That's not what she said. She said she was this big social physical threat, Dave. That's what she said.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that part.
She might have said that part too.
Let's be honest. Out of the women in that tribe, she's probably, the best out of them. A good combination of agility, strength, right, mobility. Yes, okay. So in terms of women, yes, definitely. Is she the smartest person? Well, she might think so. Okay, fine.
Everyone thinks they're the smartest person, though.
Yeah. Which, if you honestly are smart, you have to assume that you're not the smartest person.
Yeah.
Right. Honestly. And then what else? Strategic. If you don't have a good grasp of the game, then that means that's a lie. So she didn't. So therefore, she wasn't the most strategic. And what point did you have to prove it? Right? There was no point where you're proving how strategic you were in this game. She brought to the situation her own insecurities, and it led to her downfall.
I've never seen somebody basically self vote out like that before. Like that was like it was basically like she's not going home, no chance, and she's like, "Oh my god, vote me out!" Like that's kind of what happened tonight.
But it was everything that I wanted it to be. Not as long, but I'm really happy.
Like James had to do an intervention and try to talk her down. And even then, it was like pulling teeth.
I think that's one of those things where you're in the intervention and you're like, this is already over, you know. But
like James gave her an out. James like totally and she wouldn't take it.
Yeah, he was just like, listen, we're voting Gio out. Relax.
And he's like, oh well, that's what you would say. Is basically what she did.
Yeah, because so this one thing I want to talk about is like the fact she talked about they sat down, they made a plan, and then she's like, well, people are going off whispering here, people going off whispering there, and I think that we would go, well, that's always to be expected. There's always going to be sort of like this necessity within the game of Survivor, Big Brother, whatever, that you're going to sort of have people gaming or even just playing you and like just trying to get information out of you at all times, right? So there's always like sort of like this, whether it's somebody you're close with or not, somebody you trust or not, you're always going to pretend to have a rapport, right?
Dave, I don't know what she wanted them to do. So did she want them all to just sit down and relax at the beach, don't strategize anymore? So then certain people start getting paranoid and take a shot in the dark, and then you're screwed. And if you go down that line of thinking where a shot of the dark might be played, well, then that means you have to split votes, because what happens if you all put your votes on Gio, and then Gio is now safe, and then Gio and Ryan vote one person, and that person's gone by one vote. It takes such a turn in terms of what happens if everyone understands that, hey, we need to keep the facade going as much as possible to ensure that people don't get paranoid that a decision is made and you weren't part of that decision.
Yeah, but were they being sincere with her or at this stage? Were like, who are you voting for? We're all voting for Gio, right? We're all agreeing on that. Do you think that they were still
I
trying?
think after James's confessional where he's like on the beach and he's like pulling his hair out, he had made his mind up by that point.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell like when that stuff occurs in the edit. Some things I think are not completely chronological the way they edit it.
Right. I kind of look at like the time of day and how much light that there is versus later on, but like it seems to all happen sort of right maybe an hour before they go to tribal. And they even said at tribal that there was a lot of strategizing, like they didn't want it to end. It was sort of a little bit chaotic, right? It wasn't
that's what Lindsay said.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's what you would say when you're getting voted out.
Yeah.
You're not in the know.
You're not in the know. So you're just trying to get information. Everyone's kind of giving you wishy-washy answers.
Right. That's what happens when you're the target, And she made herself the target. And she didn't need to. Gio was going to go home,
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. The thing is she didn't trust her alliance, and she also didn't trust her targets. She was worried her targets were these masterminds that were going to get her out, And it's like, well, then you don't know how to play Survivor, because you do need to trust somebody. It's a leap of faith game. It's a leap of faith game. You can't get to the end of Survivor thinking I've got it all figured out and I know where all the votes lie every single vote, because you don't. You have to hope that things are going to work out your way sometimes.
This is ultimately coming down to like the whole idea of a ride or die, or at least a super strong ally, is like essential to a success plan in the game of Survivor and other shows with similar mechanics to them. Like
and she seemingly did not have one.
Right.
She did. Yeah.
Well, she should have had Cassidy.
She was part of a group, right? A majority, but she wasn't necessarily like anybody's close ally. Right, like she was just a number, and I couldn't quite tell. Like this is the first time we've seen
who's Cassidy's close ally on that tribe.
Cassidy's close ally on that tribe. Ooh, who's on that tribe? Is it
so? They needed each other. Ryan? Is my point. Cassidy and Lindsay needed each other.
Because you're saying Ryan and Carla are tight, right? And
Ryan and Gio are tight, and
Ryan
Carla
and Gio?
James.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yes, Ryan and Gio are tight, and Carla and James are tight.
No,
So
they
that
were gonna vote Gio out.
Okay,
Not
Dave,
Ryan.
Hold on. Ryan said that Gio was his closest ally.
Oh, I'm getting
Right.
Ryan confused with James. Is that what I'm
Yes,
doing?
yes.
Okay.
James was there when he's like, I trust James and Gio, but Gio is my number one. James is with Carla, right? And the group, right?
Okay.
Which is Cassidy, Lindsay, right? As well, right?
Right.
That's
Okay.
four.
I feel like I'm still getting to know this blue tribe because I know Carla, but like and Gio a bit, but even like Lindsay before this episode, she hadn't really been in a lot. And
First episode, she had a lot of confessionals, but since then, because they've been winning, we haven't really received any.
yeah, like the other there's been more focus,
Ryan's
especially on
barely-
Bessie.
Ryan's barely been on the show too. Like the most I've learned about him was from him talking about what he's been doing on the tribal council. It hasn't really been on the show at all. What Ryan's been doing.
Right. I can't even tell. I couldn't really even think of what his voice sounds like right now.
Yeah, because he doesn't
Ryan-
talk much. He's really boring. Like
Yeah.
right now. Like I hope he gets better, but he is a boring player right now to watch on the TV. Everyone else on this tribe's kind of interesting. Except Cassidy's kind of boring too.
Yeah,
But Gio, James, and Carla are all interesting players.
I think Carla's
Yeah,
the only
but,
interesting one on this tribe.
I think Carla's a standout. You're absolutely right. Carla's a
Cassidy stands out for the wrong reasons, but
Mhm.
it's
the only players on this tribe that I see have any chance of winning the game are Carla and James. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gio doesn't seem like a winner. Gio just Gio seems like
Gio seems like he's gonna rub someone the wrong way in like a merge or a swap, and he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gonna end up being a goat.
I think he's gonna probably get voted out before because I think because what they don't do in Survivor anymore is these stupid swaps like 3 votes. They don't do it anymore. They usually wait like unless one.
I think it's coming next week.
You might be right, but like usually now, unless one tribe gets decimated, they don't do it, which I prefer. I don't need all these swaps all the time. But yeah, they might do it again.
I wouldn't have a problem if we go to merge at like what 11.
Because what are they at now? It's 5, 5, and 4, right? So
Yeah.
well, we start off with 16. No, wait, 18. We started with 18, and we're down. We've voted out 4 people, so
Down to
now we're
14.
down to 14.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 more votes. What they might do is what they'll probably do is do 2 tribes next, and then for 3 votes, and then they'll go to merge.
They didn't do that in the last 2 seasons. They just went. They kept 3 tribes for a while until they eventually merged them into 1. So, especially with them all being relatively equal in number, they might go with it a little longer. But ultimately,
Do you prefer like big votes though, like, or do you prefer small, like we had tonight, like a 6-person tribe? To me, it's still small. I always preferred it when it was like I like the heroes villains format where it's 10 against 10, and
the big
But a
tribe
lot of people
votes
don't-
I find are too hard to tell on TV because they want there to be suspense and we don't know who's getting voted out. And I just feel like when you have these bigger tribe votes, you're just like, okay, and then this person got voted out, and you're like, well, what the hell happened? And you have to watch like the next episode to kind of really understand what happened because they don't really give you all the details up front.
So isn't that like an editing issue as opposed to just like a format issue?
Yeah,
Yes.
I always find it that to be the case because when they had big tribes, there's a way more chance for there be to like a big swing because then it only takes like 1 or 2 votes to swing the whole tribe, which is what happens at the merge, But now they like to do the intro part of the game, like all small, like 6 or 5 people voting, and it kind of like again it narrows it down usually to like 2 people. And like it was tonight, like they were setting it up. It's either going to be Cassidy or it's going to be Gia, right? And then it ended up being Lindsay, but that was because she was a bonehead, really. She shouldn't have done what she did. But that's often what it is. Whereas like when it's a bigger tribe and it's like 8 people, let's say, and 5 people are on one side and 3 people on the other, like it's more likely an idol gets played and then something big happens, or that's what I find anyway.
Yeah.
But we don't get it. Which,
So
whatever.
I guess I just want to understand what's happening in any tribal, and I think it was easy to understand what happened here tonight. And I guess it comes down to editing, but also there's a certain, when you have so many people playing in one big tribe, there's also just not as much time to kind of get everyone's perspective, and they want there to be the suspense. So if they give us too much information, it's also not good. But with
I get why they do it, because they have too much time to. They have not enough time to intro the characters, and now we have to learn about where they grew up and what's their mom's name is, and what if their dog died of cancer or something. Like something happened to them in their life.
Stuff happened to them. It's like they're people.
Yeah, but it's it's different now. It didn't used to be like that.
Yeah. People didn't used to have dogs with cancer, and then one day,
right.
It just became a big problem.
I'm not saying they're not important stories; they are. But,
Well, yeah. Jaemeel, are you muted?
Sorry, I was muted. It's like someone in the editing bay was like, "Oh my, did you hear that this person had a dog with cancer? What? This is gold. Ratings gold, Jerry.
Ratings gold. It's so relatable."
Get a producer down there, ask them about with their dog, and then we'll get a bunch of pictures. We'll montage it over, get some music. It'd be great.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, the only thing else about Lindsay I want to touch on is that she didn't she kind of whispers something to them on the way out, but it was kind of a cold exit where she just kind of watches her torch get snuffed and she walks out.
She didn't say anything
to them.
She's pissed.
Pissed.
Do you think she knew why? Do you think she knew why she got voted out?
No.
I don't think she did either.
Nope.
No, I don't think she really.
And she didn't want to make a scene because she didn't want to be like a meme or something. It's like, I'm just gonna quietly not look at them, just get my torch snuff and just walk out.
It was great because it was just probes. Time for you to go. See you later.
Bye. Bye.
I was actually happy. I was happy she got voted out because I was like, this lady is like a little entitled.
Yeah.
I think she thought she was better than her tribe.
Yep. And the truth of the matter is, you could be the biggest fan of the world. This came up on Twitter recently that people were talking about how, certain people having advantages in Survivor. And I'm like, the way Survivor works, you can be the most, people don't have all three. They're the best, the strongest, or they're not the smartest, or they're the most strategic. You can have one of those. You can have two, right? Rarely you have people who have two, and very, very extremely rarely do you have people that have all three, right? Being smart, strategic, and also strong, right? But you can have all three and still have no chance of winning. That's how the game goes, right? So when you have people who come on this show thinking, I've been trying to do this for 20 years, and I've molded myself into this Survivor player savant, right? 9 days in, you're gone. That's how it goes, right? That's how it goes. You have no advantage. What?
That's not what happened to her.
Well, you say it didn't happen to her, but I'm pretty sure in those 20 years where she was trying to go on the show, she was like, I got to make sure I train myself. And she probably watched a whole bunch of video, probably watched a whole lot of podcasts, and has a high opinion of herself. So from her opinion,
yeah.
Right?
No, I agree with that part. But the thing is, I think there's only one skill you really need in Survivor to do well at it, and that's social awareness. That's it. And if you don't have that skill and self-awareness, you're done. Yeah. You're done so fast.
Yeah.
That is the most important skill. You could be the most strategic, strongest, what doesn't matter. You could be Handsome Joe, you could be, Boston Rob. It doesn't matter if you don't have social awareness.
And it took a lot of those players, multiple times to get near the end. Rob, Rob was great, but he wasn't socially aware, and he got the boot the first time around, right? Jonathan was the strongest person ever to be on Survivor, it seems. And did he really have a chance to win? The way things went, I don't think he really had a chance, even if he made it to the end.
Yeah, he didn't, because he didn't have social awareness. Like, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are as far as the competitions or getting, even providing, even like getting food and stuff. That all that stuff is meaningless if you can't navigate socially.
Yeah.
And you know what I've noticed about Survivor? People are way worse at it than they were 20 years ago. People were far better at social adaptability 20 years ago than they are today, and that has a lot to do with social media and phones and the way people get into their own little bubble now and think they're right about everything, whereas 20 years ago there was none of that. Nobody interacted that way. It was all face-to-face communication because that was all we had, and right, for the most part, right?
For the most part, yeah.
So now it's worse.
We had fax machines, and we had
yes, the social media of fax.
We had
machines.
Pagers.
Yes.
You can get a page.
Yes, everyone paging you. I love boobs, or yes,
right.
Exactly. Guys,
people are worse Survivor players today. What by far?
Yeah, it's different. I think people are socialized different. I think is really a way to think about it. And I think that we're seeing more and more of that as the younger people are coming up. I don't want to be
40 was a good example of it. When you had all those winners, the newer winners, they got left in the dust pretty early.
That's right.
Yeah. Right.
That is right. That's why you saw a lot of players, like, that was a good season though, because we got a lot of old players play.
Is this why the old players are have such admiration, like Boston Rob, Sandra, maybe like who are the other ones they always mention? Parvati for some reason.
But you see the people that you mentioned, they have prickly attitudes, but they're socially aware to navigate with people, whereas you have newer people who are they're just assholes.
Yeah, they don't even know how to read people. They just think they're right about everything. They're in their own bubble. Like, even this cast, the only people I see that are really good at reading other people are, like, Cody's one of them we saw tonight with the way he read the situation. He has a great chance of winning the game. I think I think maybe Dwight has a chance of winning the game. James has a chance. Like, those people
no love for
seem
Carla?
to have. Carla is another one. My
Xena girl, man, Carla.
Ellie, maybe Ellie.
Crazy Eyes, no. I
don't think so, but
Jesse,
maybe. Was that who?
Jesse?
Who has Jesse?
You.
Jesse.
I know she has no chance.
You don't think Jesse has a chance?
No.
Why?
We see him, Jaemeel. We see him in the preview. He's walking down into that.
Sorry. I thought you meant Janine. Sorry, Janine.
No, but she's there too. By the way,
I don't think Janine does. Yeah, Janine and Romeo and these players, they don't have a chance.
I bet
Gio's Romeo. Gio's definitely Romeo.
Gio. Yeah, I think Gio seems like a Romeo type.
I think the winner's on the Red Tribe. Like, I'm going to say right now, I think the winner's coming out of the Red Tribe.
It could be right. Could it? So if Sam was still here, he was promoting Team Jaemeel in the draft. Asking if we've seen. No, I've not seen.
Yes, I've seen. Yes, I've watched Alone religiously. Sam.
Oh, well, there you go. Jeff Mader, a fan. Just quickly here, let's just remind ourselves as Team Dave has been decimated in this draft. Gone. Now, I will not be the winner of this year's Survivor pool. I feel like others have been here before, and I will have my time again. I went with my wrong instincts. I could have picked other people. Jeff and Jaemeel, you're both your teams. Well, more Jeff's than Jameel's. But
I don't think I have a winner on my team. It doesn't matter because I have 3 people left. I don't think the winner's on my team.
Ryan Cassidy or Sammy, I could see being a winner.
I see. Sammy, maybe. I don't know. Like, he's getting a lot of airtime. I just don't. I think he's a little too confrontational right now.
He can outthink a 24-year-old. I don't know if you know that.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. And
even a 31-year-old.
Yeah, 5 years on him. I mean, God.
A 31-year-old has no chance against this man who pretends to be 22.
Yeah.
If they knew he was 19, they would.
Owen, like irrelevant. It feels like on the show.
Yeah.
And so is Ryan. You know.
And who else are we missing? Oh yeah, Owen right now is not getting a lot. Gio, well, we gotta get more about him tonight. James, I got to know more in this episode. Gabler is a kook. And
Gabler's a kook.
Yeah, I'm just going out on record for Carla and Ellie. Carla's more impressive. I think Carla's got potential to go into like the finals. I think Ellie will eventually be cut by somewhere along the line. And then Dwight, so slow. Guys, did we talk about it? You know, we did play that clip, but it's so good.
Dwight is moving about as slow as you can move and still actually be moving. Thank you, Jeffrey.
I like when Jeff calls out contestants. I think he needs to do it more, you know. But now the contestants bark back.
Yeah, they bark back. How dare you attack my self-esteem, Jeffrey?
Right. Whereas 20 years ago, they just took it, you know?
Yeah. He was like, you wanted to be on Survivor. You know, like they used to be so much more ruthless with the casting, and they were just like, you're lucky you even got here. We could get rid of you.
They are lucky they got there.
Yeah. Well, they are, and we could cut you at any second. Don't think we won't.
They're just lucky that there's no Canadians on this season of stealing.
It's true.
Yeah,
I do think there might be something to be said for that. Like I do, like not to like pump up Canadians as if we're so much better than Americans, but I do think that there is something to be said of what I said before about social awareness. That Canadians, I think, kind of have a bit more of that in them a little bit. You know, whereas
we're a bit more aware. We're not Gabler types. We're more Sammy types.
We're more like Carla types. You know. Okay. You know, like we're James, you know, we kind of are able to kind of, you know, sit back and not let our emotions kind of get to us too much. And you kind of saw that with both the previous winners, especially Erica, you know. So I think we kind of, there's something to be said for it. I think it's not a coincidence that the Canadians did so well.
No. Guys, anything else in this episode or in the preview you wanted to talk about? Or from this season? If not, we could probably wrap up for this episode in the coverage in this episode. But we got lots to talk about, guys. Also on our other shows. I don't know if you guys know, but we have a whole federation, a united federation of podcasts. It's true. We have a Star Trek channel, guys, called Live Long in Podcast. We got new logos. They're out. They're shiny. They're new. Jeff, have you seen these?
I did see the red one.
Yeah.
Why? What is it? Just the color coding of like
the divisions?
Basically Star Trek. Like, are they just? Do they mean different things? I guess is my question.
Well, they're for yes. So the red one's more for our traditional Live Long in Podcast, Star Trek TV and movie reviews, which is more of a, you know, like we cover the episodes. Like on Monday nights, we talk about Star Trek Enterprise. Tuesday nights, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, going through all the episodes, even the new episodes like Star Trek Lower Decks, which right now we're covering on Thursdays. So that's more of the red one. The blue division is more of Davan's division, with the locutors of Trek being even further down that rabbit hole and more of a more introspective, different operations in our science division, plus our operations division, which is yellow, Star Trek Radio Theater. We got different projects over there in the operations division. So that's kind of the different meanings as a Live Long Podcast, a Star Trek themed YouTube and Facebook /podcast, which we got a whole crew, great crew, different team going through things. Jeff, do you like the mural?
Fantastic.
I showed it to your dad, and he was like, "What is this show about?"
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Oh, that's great.
Am I on this show? Anyway, so that's our Star Trek theme channel, Live Long in Podcast. Plus, you should also check out the Graphics History Podcast with Andre. I think it's on hiatus right now, but it's a great comic book podcast where he does in-depth interviews with artists and gives the history of the different graphic novels, things like that. What else, guys, am I missing? Trivial Debates. Did you know we have an ongoing series called Trivial Debate, and we got an episode coming up on October 30th there's a host, there's 3 contestants, and speaking of Andre, he will be contestant number 1, competing against Chris Murphy and Davan Skelhorn in a spooky Halloween themed episode. The Battle of the Blue Nosers, we're calling it.
Yeah.
With the Upper Canadian Jody Simpson to be the judge and jury. So check out our trivial.
Canadian. What year is it?
Upper Canada
It's 1867. That's the. That's what we're going back to. Check out Trivial Debates. Also,
1867 is at the first Thanksgiving, right?
well, it's the Confederation of Canada, 1867.
No, I'm trying to think of when. Okay.
I
The
couldn't
first
say that.
Thanksgiving was around that period too.
Yeah. Do you guys know about the Hellbound podcast with Michael Chan and Alex Blackburn, a horror themed
Heard of it.
podcast
Yes.
on
Great podcast.
Wednesdays? Great podcast. Check it out. Where they're wherever you get your podcast, a horror movie podcast. And I think that's the
No, let's
Computers
talk
and
about
Trolls.
fighting games.
Oh, let's talk about fighting games.
They got a
There's a
logo.
graphic for that.
Yeah, where's the logo?
Sam
I don't know
Durkin.
what
Yeah,
I don't think they have a logo.
they need to have a logo. How else can I see the representation of
Yeah,
Sam
I need to
Durkin
see Super
you
Smash
know?
Bros. Seth represented in a
Yes.
graphic
and Paranoia?
and Paranoid.
Oh, and guys, I forgot to mention another member of the Federation, which is the Hold Up podcast, which is going to be starting on the 14th of October, which is in 2 days from now. They're going to be having their first broadcast at 8 p.m. That's a new podcast, I believe, with who is that? That's Murphy and Davan who are doing that podcast. A new Federation podcast.
Well,
Another one's coming soon. Still working on it. One's being introduced.
Yeah, we
Another
had so many
movie podcast.
podcasts in the Federation. We can't even remember them all. That's why we need a website just to document them all. So lots of
right.
different topics.
And then there's everything we do over here at Super Mario Bros. Podcasting, all the
Exactly.
reality TV.
We got Survivor. We got Big Brother. We got other
Westworld.
shows sometimes. Sometimes we
Yeah,
talked
sometimes
about
movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes movies,
big
sometimes
event
TV shows.
things. You know,
The Beatles get back.
the
The
Beatles.
Beatles.
Back. It's our most watched thing.
It's
Yeah.
one of our top most viewed videos ever. Is our like aside from our Kyland reaction video, which just continues to grow and grow.
Well, people needed to see how Xavier's nephew isn't. He's got to look up the
Yeah,
Kobe.
how Kobe wouldn't step down from a
Kobe
challenge.
wouldn't back down from
A
a challenge.
man with a mullet.
Oh wait, that's a key for your quote.
The man with the-
That's a different guy. That's I thought I had hotkeyed
That's
that.
Lucius. Lucius is the man with the mole.
My name is Lucius.
Do what you need to do.
That's my Oz
You got to
voice.
reanalyze your hotkeys.
I do.
Yeah, your hockey's
Where's my Kyland? Kobe.
every time I hear that, all I hear is dialing.
It's,
Yeah,
I mean, I thought the whole, Kobe thing,
Spit
raising
outside.
him to be a man and face challengers and stuff.
Are you talking about my nephew right now?
That's it.
Yeah.
Never gets
Still one of
old.
the best things ever. Okay, so guys, I think that's we can wrap up for tonight on Super Mario Podcasting. Thank you for listening to our take on this fourth episode of Survivor 43. Show No Mercy. The next episode is titled Stop with All the Niceness. Jeff, they want to go back to traditional values in Survivor.
Yeah. Do you know what? I agree. Like when they get the tribal council, they're all smiling. They're like, "This is great. What is this?" Like that's not why I watch the show. I don't watch the show for these people to have this great time. Like I need to see conflict. I need to see some sort of like Lindsay didn't even see it coming.
Yeah. Blow up people's games. Let's see it. Blow up people's
Yeah,
games.
let's see it. Like Big Brother doesn't have this problem as much.
Why do you think that is? What's the difference?
Well, Survivor now is because it's so much faster too. I think people are just still like haven't acclimatized themselves to the game yet. When they finally get the tribal council, whereas before they had so many days in between everything, so they kind of got used to it.
I did Big Brother people get people there, and it's like, nah, I'm not having it. You think I'm leaving? Blow game.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see. Maybe it's gonna heat up. I hope it does. We'll see you next time here on Super Mario Bros. Podcasting. Thanks for being with us, and make sure to subscribe and share everything we've talked about. All right, thanks, and we'll see. We'll get if this was the old days, growing up in the streets of LA, we'd go for the jugular, but on a cul-de-sac, you gotta be diplomatic.
If this was old Jesse growing up as a teenager, like in LA, tattoo on my face, I'd probably go for the jugular. I live on a cul-de-sac now. I got to be diplomatic with